Get your stinking rat out. It's late night large.
Welcome to the show that always sticks its boot up your ass but never on your throat. I'm Aaron Bliss and this is Mike Large, and we are Lockdown Large. We're coming at you with the events and analyses from the last week or so under lockdown, or partial lockdown as it's now been eased a bit. Mike, have you been taking advantage of any of your new freedoms? I know you had a haircut last week.
Yep. Yeah. I frequented a public house.
Pub
It was all
garden.
right. So yeah, it was good. But no, I think that it's nice to have a bit of freedom back. I do worry that not a lot of people will be taking precautions or behaving as sensibly as they should be. We've said it before. We'll say it again, I'm sure. You give an inch, they'll take a mile. And, or you can go and drink outside a pub now. But you have to be sensible. Yeah, these are the rules, and you have to, come on. You're getting people together in the same place.
With alcohol involved, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to drink even more than they would have done before because of all the excitement of being able to go out and do it again.
And this isn't the first time we
expect them to adhere to strict social distancing rules. And
it's also not the first time we've mentioned this, Mike, but, drunk people, toilets, there's all kinds of opportunities for transmission. Also, I thought that was really funny hearing you, of all people, talking about people abusing lack of precautions. It's like, very good. We come full circle there, Mike. Well, I'm glad to hear you've been enjoying your new freedom. I've mostly used my new freedom joining protests, which is a bit sad, but there we go. That's the state of our government at the moment. Went to Oxford again for another Kill the Bill protest. But it's been nice weather there, hasn't it? It's really ideal weather at the moment. It's bright blue skies, relatively warm sunshine, but a nice cool little breeze. So yeah, it's been beautiful days. So I think that's picked everyone's spirits up a bit. We look at the figures. We're still seeing falling deaths. We're still seeing falling hospitalizations. We are seeing cases creep up, but maybe the vaccines are having their effect. With almost exactly 50% of the population has had at least one dose. I'm hoping to get my call relatively soon. I mean, they're supposed to have been working their way down, but maybe next month. But yeah, no, it's looking, aside from the absolute shit show of what's going on in football, which weirdly will come to in some roundabout way in this lockdown large as well, and obviously the perennial shit show that is the government, general life under lockdown easing has been relatively pleasant, I think, for the last week or so, I would have said. Am I wrong, Mike?
Yeah, I think the mood has lifted, hasn't it? It's picked up. A huge part of that will be the loosening of restrictions and the additional freedoms people have been afforded. A big part of it will be the fact that the weather's been nice, and the effect that has on mood in general is huge. So there's a lot kind of a lot of positives recently, certainly comparative to where people may have been a couple of months ago. So there's been lots of positives for people to draw from, to look towards, to kind of gain a bit of happiness, or it makes it easier for people to put a positive spin on things, however you want to however you want to word it and however that works for people individually, there's been a lot to help, people's individual kind of circumstances, or certainly their perception of their circumstances.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it just, even if you've not felt like you want to take the plunge and go out to meet people outside, people have been able to just relax in their gardens all day because the weather's been so good. So, people can get on with gardening, reading books, chasing the wildlife, whatever. Just, the fresh air and the open air just makes people feel a little bit, well, life's modest pleasures come flooding back. So yeah, for a lot of reasons, people have been seeing things a bit more positively, which is great. Obviously, it won't be long before something negative comes along, as we'll touch on. But we should take these victories where we get them. I don't know if you saw this, Mike. It's not really related to lockdown, so I won't spend too long discussing it. But I just had to mention it because obviously one thing that I don't think me or you are interested in, but clearly there is a proportion of the population that were, because there was like a big coverage and certain shutdowns over the weekend for the funeral of Prince Philip. And I don't know if you saw this, but sorry, again, it's just the embarrassment factor. So the Prime Minister saw fit to put out a video where a camera had been set up just outside Downing Street, 10 Downing Street, so he could open the door, walk out in his ridiculously badly tailored suit. I mean, I don't understand how someone so wealthy isn't able to get a tailor that can understand that a relatively short, squat man needs to have his suit cut a slightly different way, otherwise it billows out of the sides and makes him look like Tweedledum. But he marches out looking like Tweedledum with a haystack on his head. But he does that thing where, where he tries to look really serious and he looks really insincere. So he marches out of 10 Downing Street looking very, very sad. And then he marches out and he stands in the middle of the street, just like looking down, looking like, I'm sad, I'm really sad. Again, in this ridiculously ill-fitting suit billowing out of the sides. And he stands there for I don't know how long, silent, looking down at the ground, looking very glum, and then turns around and walks silently back inside. And that's supposed to be somehow poignant. And everyone's supposed to kind of, I don't know, just, oh, that's our Prime Minister. I just thought that was laughably bad. But I know that's not really anything to do with lockdown. But it might be in the sense that people were watching that over the lockdown weekend because of Prince Philip's funeral. I'm not going to take any shots at Prince Phil. He's gone, and wherever he's gone now, and his family's sad, whatever. So I'm going to just reserve the shot for Boris Johnson making a complete ass of himself as usual.
Fair enough. I didn't see it. So.
You're lucky. I tried to avoid it. I just saw it on social media. Oh God, did he really do that? Okay. Aside from that, what other big news have we got on the lockdown front? So sadly, as I said, there's always bad news around the corner. This is potential bad news. So Boris Johnson wanted to visit India, which I'm sure was his big plan to promote his jingoistic global Britain bullshit by saying we are championing the emerging economies. Like, what I don't get is that Boris Johnson has numerous times in the past referred to the British Empire as if it was a good thing, right? But then he's going to India, like crawling up their backside, like, oh please, we want to be a partner with you, as if like the people who used to think the British Empire was a good thing will look on that and go, yeah, like India used to be our colony, and now Johnson's showing up and like begging them for trade deals. It's like, but you're one of the few people who thinks the British Empire was great and that we should still be in charge in Africa and stuff, and yet you're going to India, like groveling to them. It's just I don't get where the headspace is for these kind of people. Anyway, I understand why he needs to visit India, even if I don't like it. You know, we're in the poorhouse now thanks to his decisions. So I understand why he needs to make trade connections. Why he needs to go there in the middle of a fucking global pandemic in person doesn't make any sense, other than he wants a photo opportunity. You know, we've said this before. There's no reason for him to be traveling to Scotland. There's no reason for him to be traveling across the world unless there is an emergency summit. He can do everything on Zoom and phone calls. That's just as easy to do. So he was going to go to India, but of course, apparently he doesn't read the same newspapers, or rather websites, that me and you do, knowing that India has had an explosion of coronavirus infections. I don't know whether this is still true, but I think it was the quickest growing infection hotspot in the world, pretty much. India was, and continues to be. And yeah, at the last minute, as is always the case with Johnson, he decided to graciously cancel his diplomatic mission to India, which again was a decision he should have made weeks ago, but at least he made it eventually. And in the aftermath of him sort of saying, "Oh no, it's probably a bit silly for the prime minister of a country that's finally getting a grip on the pandemic to visit a country that's right in the middle of a massive growth in the pandemic with potentially new virulent strains, and then potentially bring it back to my home country." So hot on the heels of that, Mike, we had an announcement that India will be added to the red no travel list. But of course, being this government, it's not going to happen for a short period of time, meaning that potentially hundreds of people could travel to and from India in that window of time. Comments?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what I don't really understand why India wouldn't have already been on this list. I think that's the issue. I don't, it's very well and good saying, look, put them on the list and put it as of now, right now. No one well, what do you do if you're the person that's stuck in fucking India for whatever reason, and you live, say, in this country, or vice versa, and what the fuck do you do? Like, you're just gonna live in India now. Like, that's why they have to give people a chance to get fucking home or whatever. But I mean, I think travel should be limited to literally only that.
Repatriating abroad, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it should already be on the list. Just, I don't know. It should have been on this at least back when Bojo should have. I mean, yeah, last minute. Did it need to be a last minute decision for him to cancel his trip?
Wow.
Could he not have had a bit more foresight? Let's say. I mean, wake the fuck up. We could also say, where have you been? We could say that. But yeah, it is what it is. I think that should they be on the list given the state of the COVID in their country at the moment? Absolutely. Should everyone else be on the list regardless? Yeah, I don't think there should be any fucking unnecessary travel anywhere right now. Why risk it? Why come this close?
Agree, yeah.
To not I don't understand. A risk worth taking at the moment in COVID terms has got to be one that offers some pretty fucking substantial reward to make it worth it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I accept. What the fuck do I know, really? What do I know about the reasons why any decision they make, might be made. I'm sure there's, I could sit and be cynical about it till the cows come home, and I may make a few. Some of the things that I say might actually be very fucking valid and might hit the nail on the head, or might hit a little bit too close to home for any of them if they were wanting to, if they were listening or whatever. But the reality is there'll be plenty of factors that I have no fucking clue about.
Yeah.
Plenty of reasons, plenty of whether they're valid or not as to why decisions are made. But I just don't think until we're all vaccinated, but no travel. And even when we are, we're still at risk from, various other strains that maybe have formed or are forming as we speak, or will form in 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. I don't see why we'd do it. I don't see why we'd ever have allowed it in the first place. But
no,
like I said, what do I know?
There is actually a particularly virulent strain apparently from India at the moment, which makes it all the more, you would say, urgent that we prevent any unnecessary travel immediately, for those reasons that you correctly stated. Mike, I know, I mean, maybe this is maybe a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but we know a few aspects of Boris Johnson's character very well. We know he doesn't like to do detail. We know he's lazy and he lies a lot. But in terms of, so the India thing, do you get the impression that he was too busy either, I don't know, doing his after dinner jokes or getting his leg over with a woman who wasn't Carrie to bother understanding the situation in India? And then a couple of days before he was due to go out, somebody kind of rang him and just said, you have cancelled the trip to India, haven't you, Prime Minister? And he's like, well, why in the world would I do that? Well, and then they gave him the details of, oh yes, guess you're right. Yes, it wouldn't look too good, would it? Oh dear. Well, yes, I better call it off. Similar to how when I talked about that video earlier, one thing that reminded me of was, where his face and the way he walked out of Downing Street. I've just realised what it reminded me of. It reminded me of when you're getting your school photo taken, and it's almost like your mum kind of gets you dressed up in a suit that you hate, combs your hair, and then just as you're like about to be called up, she just spits on a handkerchief and just like rubs it on your face, and you're really pissed off and you're really like gloomy and like, I don't want to be here, and she just like shoves you out. That's exactly what Boris Johnson looked like when he came out of Downing Street. But knowing what we know about his personality, that doesn't seem that far-fetched, does it, that Carrie did that? It's like, okay, come on, go now, Boris, come on, get it over with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
quite possibly. I think on the India trip, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe these other things at play or the reasons for going, or I don't know. But you'd like to think, well, especially when you're talking about Bojo, you'd like to think that he isn't completely left on his own to make those decisions. Yes, he is the Prime Minister, but you've
got to hold his hand.
Masses of people around him, teams and teams of people who are responsible for his calendar, for his, writing, scripting every fucking thing he says at any opportunity to say it, and people that will check these things and what is he doing, when is he doing it, should he be doing it, why, what are the potential backlashes, what could people say? These people have got to be, I don't know, but there must be teams of these people. And certainly people vetting the decision to to go to India in the first place may not actually have been his. It may have just been someone said, "Oh, look, I've scheduled this in. Well, I should probably do it, mate. You should probably go for this reason, that reason, and the other. We'll say it's for this reason. Actually, there's a few others as well, but cool."
But then
I doubt everything he does, or everywhere he goes, or everything he says, or every decision he makes, or his own. They won't all be his own.
No.
As is the case for any prime minister, I imagine. But yeah, I like to think that there are people much kind of better than Boris in any way, shape, or form, making these decisions or thinking about these things, and it's those people. I think, well, why didn't you? Could we not have seen this coming a bit sooner? But I don't know. But I just see Boris as like I see him as just a figurehead, really. He's just a comedy figurehead, isn't he? Really, that's what he is. I mean, I hope so. Anyway,
I think that's the most generous thing, probably the most generous thing anyone's ever said about it. Mike, what did you think about? Sorry, actually, I've also just seen an update that he has cancelled a pre-election visit to Scotland. Now, pre-election being pre-local elections in May. Do you think that that's because of COVID, or is it because they're terrified that if Johnson shows up in Scotland, he'll probably drive up the SNP vote?
I mean, maybe a combination.
Yeah, A and B, maybe. And I know this isn't entirely related to COVID, but I did say that I'd mention this because it's quite a big thing for a government to say. I mentioned this to you a bit earlier. So obviously, please, hey, check out our Lockdown Large edition where we discuss the horrendous European Super League breakaway plans. That should hopefully be up by now. But the government has actually come out all guns blazing on this. They're happy to take interviews on that. I think Oliver Dowd and possibly other ministers have come straight out off the bat and said they are opposed to the European Super League. Not only that, but they will do everything in their power to prevent English clubs being able to join it. So, I mean, that's big for a government to commit to that, like so early as well. We haven't heard. I mean, we're cynics. We know exactly what this league is about. But other people, like you say, particularly professional politicians, would look at that and go, "Well, hold on. Let the dust settle. Let's see what the devil's in the detail. Let's hear what they have to say, and then we'll make a decision." But for them to come flying out of the blocks, do you think that is an absolute sap to, say, the Red Wall? To say, oh, the Red Wall, they love football, don't they? That's their thing. And they've immediately thought, we need to oppose this. They'll love that. We've heard that the fans almost unanimously don't like this. Do you think this is just a populism move, or do you think it's very principled from the government to oppose this so strongly?
Well, you're being hyper cynical. You probably just say, "Oh, it's just a populism," but no, I think probably both.
You think there is a bit of principle
to be honest?
as well?
I would say so. I mean, let's not, I don't know what you think of these people, and I don't disagree with all of it, but to say that every single person in government is completely void of any kind of morals at all. And I'm pretty sure I probably heard you say those exact words before, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is necessarily true.
I just challenge you to name one, because most of them are up to their necks in this lobbying scandal. But anyway, sorry, carry on.
Okay, I think that maybe morals is not the right term.
I guess maybe you could argue that it's not an ethical stance as much as they don't think this is the right thing for English football.
They know right from wrong.
They just choose wrong a lot.
Yeah, the vast majority of them know right from wrong, but they also know what's within their interests. But then let's be honest, plenty of other people from all walks of life. I'm not defending politicians, but I suppose I am in a weird way. Plenty of other people from all sorts of walks of life make the same.
No.
On a smaller scale, they just make this whatever decisions best for them all the time.
No, I completely, well, not completely, but no, I know what you mean, Mike. I think sometimes we're a bit too harsh on politicians. I mean,
Mostly you.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we're talking about Tory politicians. But yeah, no, a lot of politicians, and also, like you say, politicians are not the worst of the worst. You could argue, hedge fund managers, gangsters, these kind of parasites that do nothing but plunder and exploit people are a level above in terms of how shit they are for the rest of us and how shit they are ethically and morally. But no, I mean, even a stop clock is right, twice a day. So I guess that's the best thing I can say about this government announcement. They got there in the end. They've finally they've said something that's genuinely on the side of the average person. So,
and they said it straight away.
They did. No, I'll give them that. There was no equivocating. There was no focus groups. It was like, what's going on? Oh no, that's not happening. No, it's not happening. Government opposes this. What's the government going to do? The government will use all the tools at our disposal to make sure English clubs do not do this. Fair enough. That's that cuts to a lot of the bullshit you normally hear from politics. Oh well, we'll wait till we hear the facts. This government, I've been very clear that our government will do what's best for the British people. They've just come straight out. We oppose this. The government will do everything in its power to stop it happening. Fair play. I wish they did it with more things. And even stuff I don't agree with, because this is the worst thing, is the dishonesty. If you're going to do something that damages the British people or sections of the British people, be fucking honest about it. Tell us you're trying to sell the NHS off, because it's so fucking obvious, and yet you keep telling barefaced lies about it. Do you know what I mean? If you want to do that, Mike, fucking go ahead and do it, but be honest with people, because they're not going to vote for you if you do it, and that's why you lie about it.
I mean, I wouldn't say go ahead and do it.
No, I wouldn't.
I'd say maybe rethink. But yeah, I know your point. I know what you're saying.
Good. So, I mean, I don't think there's been that much more in terms of major news related to COVID. No,
they haven't.
What are we looking at, Mike, for the rest of the month? Where are we now? We're in sort of mid to late April. When's the next loosening of lockdown, easing of lockdown rules again? Is it beginning of May?
I'm trying to remember now the old road mappy.
Yeah.
There's another couple of kind of big landmarks. So yeah. I want to say May and then June are the next.
I think you're probably
there'll
right.
be lots of smaller changes.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. By the way, have you visited any non-essential shops since they've been allowed to open?
Yes.
Oh, really? What was it like?
I mean, the thing is, I didn't really know what I was expecting.
Right.
So, yeah. I didn't really know what to expect, and kind of was walking through town, and it felt dead. Not dead, but I think maybe in comparison to what I thought would happen. Bear in mind, this was day one.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing though, right? I mean the last thing.
I know.
Yeah.
Good. good. I'm pleasantly surprised. But this was day one, and I had to park and walk through town to get to my hairdresser appointment, mop shop. So and I thought it wasn't dead. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't heaving like I thought it would be. I thought day one, people are gonna go fucking mental. And it, and it wasn't what I thought it would be.
Okay.
It wasn't. So and then I walked through, and it was quite quiet. So I thought, okay, well, I do need some new work shoes, so I'll pop in there and I'll buy some.
Right.
But to be fair, would I have bothered if it was heaving or rammed like I expected it maybe to be? Probably not. I probably would have just hairdresser's appointment gone. But partially because of COVID, partially because I just fucking hate people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't. There were people walking around. There were people in shops, but it was not what I had anticipated day one to be like.
I think that's
but
good.
Then, but then I don't know if that's just because of the time I went either.
Yeah, no.
So a lot of people would actually have still been at work. So
yeah, no, it's true. It's like it's the difference between because often what I'll do is I'm quite I wouldn't say lazy, but I'm like, if I start the day slow, then it takes me ages to get motivated. So if I start the day on the internet or doing stuff on my laptop, gradually time will drift by and it'll be like 2 o'clock. I'll be like, shit, I need to get some shopping or whatever. And I'll finally go into town and it'll be really busy. Whereas, don't know if it was this last weekend, was it? Got my ass moving and went into town early, like 11 o'clock, like not early, but morning rather than afternoon. And really quiet, hardly anyone around. So it makes a huge difference what time of day. But no, that's positive.
I did hear though that a lot of certain shops did get very busy.
I can imagine, yeah. Primark and places like that, I would assume. Yeah.
Rammed. I heard there was queues round the fucking halfway back through Banbury, I think.
Yeah. No, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's a combination, isn't it? Because there are legitimately people who are very poor and they can only afford clothes from Primark. And there are also people who genuinely, it makes their day to go shopping around Primark for 2 hours. Maybe it's not mine and your idea of a good time, but other people, they get great pleasure out of it. So fair enough, if they're keeping safe, knock yourself out. Okay, so I have found it, Mike. The next lockdown date will be May 17th, apparently. So around about a month from now. I won't bother going into what it is because it won't make much sense until we get close to the date anyway. But yeah, so May 17th is the next lockdown easing if we're all sensible. Anything
I think that'll be the one where you can go inside pubs. And then I think the June the 22nd, is it? That's when everything goes.
June 21st, yeah. That's the big bang. Yeah. Anything else to add, Mike, for this week? Because I think that's...
I don't think anything's happened in the world of COVID that we haven't touched on.
No,
that noticeable.
Big story, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So if we have missed something though, let us know. Tell us. Leave a comment. Say, "Oh, you dickheads, forgot about this." Sorry about Aaron. But yeah, if that's the case, let us know. We can pick it up next week or whatever.
It costs nothing. Just a little like, please, and helps to kind of make the video available to more people. You should see a little Late Night Large icon in the corner now. I've added one of those, so easy to subscribe. Recommend it to a friend, share it with a friend, say, why the hell are you not subscribed to these two hilarious fuckers? because
Yeah.
you know the drill by now. We take you through lockdown life, and then we also have a separate series, Extra Time, where me and Mike banter and debate the big football issues of the day. We've got a big one this week, so check that out as well if you're predisposed to that kind of thing. And unless Mike has
Definitely.
anything to add, then yeah, we will catch you next time, people. Stay safe and look after each other, and we will see you next week.